everyone definitely had. Trust me, I've talked to thousands, like, a dozen people that have like had issues with Second City, and I'll tell you, like, my dad's at some point. I think everyone at some point has had issues with every job or every where you can't be as creative as you'd like to be. But my dad was fortunate because he had SCTV where he could be creative that way, and I think that he was lucky, and I think that's what Second City now is trying to do, and they're doing a lot more internet videos and shorts and stuff like that, which is they're giving people their creative freedom, but it definitely is it is difficult with anyone, with UCB, with IO, with all of that. But Second City is definitely still my number one choice. And whenever people go like, hey, where do I take classes? I'm like, you just want to go to Second City because the teachers there right now are amazing. And I know most of them from main stage and ETC when I was out in Chicago working in the box office, and they're now out here in LA. And it's just, I go watch them. These are people I was watching on stage, and it was just like, oh my God, they're so good. And now they're teaching. And I'm like, if you could, be their student, you'll learn a lot.
Well, I think what's going to happen is because they have all these big, like you were talking about IO and Second City, and there's all these big companies now with so many people going through them. And I think with the way of it's been independent film, now there's independent TV on the web, there's now podcasting, which is this. Right. And I think what's going to happen is you're just going to see groups of people, maybe not even with the training of a Second City or the training in IO, just coming together and doing some great group stuff like Michael Ian Black, who was on a few weeks ago, and they did the state.
Yeah. The state was amazing, and that's kind of like, I've been brainstorming because it's, the people that I, associate with, like who are my friends, I've known them either from college, they never took classes at Second City, or I know them from my, just an acting class who, they're all stand-up comedians, and they don't really have any, IO background, but together when we come up with sketches and stuff like that, it's creative people. You don't necessarily need that training.
You don't need to do every level of IO, get to level 5.
And I feel like the culture's changed too with all this new technology and everything, where a lot of people are going to be making their own breaks now, or at least it's not so structured anymore where it's like you're a comedian. You go to this club, there'll be these agents there to check you out, and maybe they'll sign you, maybe they won't. Managers will be there, whatever. Now there's clubs everywhere. Well, now there's Second Cities and IO and everything everywhere. It's harder to do that.
I think also there's a huge spate of people wanting to be writers also. They don't want to be in the spotlight. They want to be writing. Or maybe it's because of people like Tina Fey who are known for being writers. And they want to be they want to be in the business more than they want to be comedians, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And everyone always tells me, oh, Jen, you're an amazing writer. I'm like, I hate writing. They're like, but you're going to do well in writing. I can write good sketches, but I like acting in them too.
Yeah, you like acting. And that leads me to recently, I know you've kept a relationship with Jim Belushi.
Yes.
His family. And I'm wondering how do you get involved with, according to Jim then, and the Defenders, which you had parts on? Does Jim just call you up and he's like, you're talented, we want to have you on and do this, or?
It's a combination of both. I paid my dues, meaning when I moved back from Chicago, I was looking for work. I was sending my headshot to every person that I could possibly think of that, knew our family or whatever. And Jim was, in the midst of the 3rd season of According to Jim, and he's like, hey, I can get you work as a background artist. And I was like, great, I'll do background work. So I started off doing background for a year. And then I got to know all the ADs and the second seconds, and they were like, hey, we need an extra stand-in. Would you like to do stand-in work? Then I started doing stand-in work where I'd have to read the script, act the script out, do everything that the actors did, but, for the cameras. And then they'd see me do stuff, and Jim would have a small part, and he'd be like, oh, Jen, do you want to do this? And I'd be like, great. And I remember the first time he gave me a line, and I was so nervous, and he was like, okay, he gave me little directions, and I did it, and then he said, cut, and he says, that was great. let me just review it and make sure. And then they were like, nope, you did it in one take. It was perfect. I was like, oh, I was so nervous, but I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to do it again. But so I've gone that route of doing stand-in work, and then I've gotten parts that way. So it never has been, he's always thinking of me and always trying to think of, things that I can do. But in the meantime, you still need to pay the bills. So I do stand-in work.
But Jennifer, then on the opposite end of the spectrum, yes, you have some connections then through your family and through who you've made and connected with and networked with. But do you think being the daughter of John Candy, or like Rob Belushi, being the son of Jim Belushi, do you think that can also make people that do casting weary of casting you guys because they may think you have to live up to your father's,
I think it's very difficult. A lot of people, I met with an agent and she signed me and she's like, great, you're going to have a lot of people who want to meet you but probably not cast you. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So it's difficult because they want to meet you, they want to know who they just want to meet you. And then you kind of have to be like, wait, no, but I actually, I can't act. I'm not comparing myself to my father because he, was on a whole other level. I just enjoy doing it and want people to see that I enjoy doing it and, can do it and just have people have faith in me.
Yeah, no, I just got to imagine that's got to be a little rough because you're kind of waiting for your big break, and you got to hope someone gives you a break based off of your talent and not just expecting you to be your dad. Exactly,
and I think for the longest time it took me so long because I never told people when I go to sets or anything like that unless it was not even, and Jim was really good about not telling people who I was. It was kind of a very, private, like, if I want to tell, if you find out, great, that's awesome. But I never went around being like, hey, guess who I am? Because it's not my personality, and I kind of want people to know me for my abilities and, what I can do and how professional I am. And my brother's the same way. And then eventually I was like, okay, I gotta start dropping my name a little bit just so I can get, a little bit further in the door.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is very interesting. What I was also wondering though too was like, so when you go into these auditions and things, and then they look at your headshot and they're like, Candy, John Candy, so they know.
Yeah. They know. I had an audition a couple weeks ago. And I did the audition. The guy was like, "Did I not just see you on the biography channel?" And at first I was like, "Oh yeah, right." And it was my dad's biography, and I did interviews for that, and so I guess it was running on the air. So people do recognize me that way, which is nice. But then at the same time, it's like I'm always wondering what they're thinking. Either they're going, "Oh crap, she doesn't have anything that her dad has," or they're going, "Oh my God, she's funny, but this role isn't right for her."
They want anti-Buck. They want anti-Buck.
Right. They want anti-Buck. They want Great Outdoors too. The children's version. I don't know.
Well, I was also wondering. You have a lot of roots, even though you were born in Toronto, correct?
Yes.
And then you live in L.A., but you have roots in Chicago because, like you said, you're here for 3 years for the second city. What are some of your favorite things about the city? What do you like to do? Like food
or least favorite things. You can talk shit about it if you want to. We don't care.
Oh, I don't even think I could talk shit about Chicago. It's like one of my favorite cities. I always say I'm born in Toronto, live in Los Angeles, but my heart's still in Chicago. I love everything when I go there. It's like I always have to go to the same places. It's sad that I plan it around food. It's like I need to go. Love going to